I was standing in the grocery store checkout line buying ingredients for Christmas. Dinner, turkey, stuffing, cranberries, everything. When my phone buzzed, it was a text from my stepmom, Linda. The message said, "We need to talk about Christmas this year. I think it would be better if you sat this one out. It's really more of a family thing, and we don't want it to be awkward for anyone." My hands froze. On the shopping cart handle, "Family thing," I texted back. "Linda, I am family," she replied with 3 dots. Then nothing. I called her. She picked up on the 4th ring and said in that sugary fake voice she always used, "Sophia, honey, you know what I mean? You're technically family, but you're not really real family like the rest of us, and Christmas is about blood relatives being together, I think. It's just easier if you make other plans this year." I stood there in the middle of the grocery store staring at a cart full of food. I'd just spent $300 on food for their Christmas dinner and said quietly, "Linda, I'm the one paying for Christmas. I bought the turkey, the ham, the wine, the decorations. I even paid the mortgage on the house. You're hosting it in," she laughed uncomfortably. "Well, that's very generous, sweetie, but we can handle it from here. Enjoy your holiday." And she hung up. I looked at my cart, looked at the cashier who was clearly listening, and said, "Cancel all of this." Then I walked out, got in my car, and made 3 phone calls that would ruin their perfect family Christmas forever. "My name is Sophia. I'm 26 years old, and my father married Linda 8 years ago when I was 18. My mom died when I was 12, and for 6 years it was just me and my dad. We were best friends. We had traditions. Every Christmas we'd decorate together, make hot chocolate, watch old movies, and on Christmas morning, we'd open presents while eating cinnamon rolls he made from scratch." Then Linda came along. She had 2 kids from her previous marriage, Brad, who was my age, and Emily, who was 16, and suddenly everything changed. Linda didn't like our traditions, she said. They were childish, that we needed to grow up and have proper adult Christmases, which apparently meant fancy dinners, formal attire, and her family taking center stage. My dad changed too. He stopped making cinnamon rolls, stopped watching movies with me, started saying things like, "Linda's right, Sophia. You're an adult now, time to move on." I tried to adapt. I really did. I smiled through Christmases where Linda's kids got piles of expensive gifts while I got a Target gift card. I sat quietly while Linda told stories about her perfect first family and how hard it was to blend families. I even moved out at 19 to give them space. But the thing Linda never knew, the thing my dad never told her, was that I had money, a lot of it. When my mom died, she left me everything: her life insurance, her savings, her investment accounts. It was in a trust I couldn't touch until I turned 21, and when I did, I had almost $400,000. I didn't tell anyone, not my dad, not Linda, nobody. I lived modestly, worked as a graphic designer, saved my trust fund, and invested it. By the time I was 25, I had over $600,000, plus I was making $70,000 a year at my job. I didn't look rich. I drove a used Honda, lived in a small apartment, wore normal clothes, but I was more financially stable than anyone in my family, and they had no idea. My dad thought I was struggling. He'd even offered me money a few times, which I always refused. Linda thought I was broke. She'd make comments about how hard it must be being single and trying to make ends meet, how lucky Brad and Emily were to have family support. I never corrected her. I just let her believe what she wanted. But over the years, I started noticing something. My dad was struggling financially. Linda didn't work. She stayed home and spent money freely, decorating the house, buying clothes, taking trips, and my dad's salary as an engineer couldn't keep up. Their mortgage was underwater. They had credit card debt, and my dad looked exhausted all the time. So 2 years ago, I started helping quietly. I paid off their mortgage, told the bank to send the paperwork to my dad and make it look like an accounting error that got resolved in his favor. $40,000 gone from my account in one payment. I paid their property taxes every year anonymously. Through a legal firm, I bought all the groceries for every holiday and family gathering. I paid for repairs on their house. When the roof leaked, when the furnace broke, I covered it through contractors who owed me favors. I even paid for Emily's college tuition, told the school I was an anonymous donor who wanted to support bright students. $30,000 a year. I didn't do it for credit. I did it because I loved my dad, and I thought if I helped, maybe he'd be less stressed, maybe he'd come back to being the father I remembered. But Linda didn't know any of this. She thought everything was just working out for them, that they were blessed, that life was easy, and because she didn't know, she didn't value me. She saw me as the outsider, the leftover daughter from the first wife who didn't quite belong, and it all came to a head 3 weeks before Christmas. Linda called a family meeting. I showed up thinking it was about holiday plans, and it was, but not the way I expected. Linda sat at the head of the table, my dad next to her, Brad and Emily on one side, and me alone on the other. She smiled and said, "We want to talk about Christmas. This year we've decided to make it really special, just the core family, no extended relatives, no friends, just us." I nodded. "Okay, sounds nice." She glanced at my dad, then back at me. "So we were thinking it might be best if you celebrate separately. This time nothing personal, sweetie, but Brad's bringing his fiancée, Emily's bringing her boyfriend, and it's going to be couples and family, and well, you'd be the odd one out. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable." I stared at her. "You're uninviting me from Christmas." She waved her hand. "Oh, don't be dramatic. You're always welcome here, but Christmas is for the people who are really family, and let's be honest, Sophia, you're not really our family. You're your dad's daughter." From before, I looked at my dad, waiting for him to say something, to defend me, to tell Linda she was insane. But he just looked down at his hands and said, "Maybe it's for the best, Soph. You've been distant lately. Anyway, maybe some space would be good." I felt something crack inside me. "Distant," I repeated. "I've been distant." I looked at Linda, then back at my dad. "Do you know why your mortgage got paid off 2 years ago?" My dad blinked. "What are you talking about? It was some bank error." "No," I said, "it was me. I paid it $40,000. I looked at Linda. "Do you know who paid for the new roof last year, the furnace, repair, the property taxes?" "That was me." I looked at Emily. "Do you know who's been paying your college tuition anonymously for 3 years?" "That was me." $30,000 a year. The table went silent. Linda's smile faltered. My dad's face went pale. I stood up. "I've spent over $200,000 on this family in the last 3 years. I bought every Christmas dinner, every Thanksgiving turkey, every birthday gift I fixed, every broken appliance. I kept this house running, and you're telling me I'm not really family, that I should celebrate Christmas somewhere else because I don't belong?" Linda opened her mouth, but I kept going. "I was just at the grocery store buying food for Christmas, $300 worth, and you called me and uninvited me. So you know what, Linda? You're right, I'm not family, because family doesn't treat people like ATMs and then throw them away when it's convenient." I pulled out my phone and made a call right there in front of them. I called my lawyer, Jerry. "It's Sophia. I need you to stop all payments to the following accounts." I listed everything: the property tax payments, the grocery allowances, the contractor retainers, everything. He paused. "Are you sure?" I looked at my dad, who was staring at me in horror. "I'm sure." Then I called the college financial aid office. "This is Sophia Chen. I'm the anonymous donor for Emily Carter's tuition. I'm revoking the scholarship effective immediately." Emily gasped. "What, Sophia? You can't." I said. "I absolutely can. I'm paying for it. It's my money and I'm done." Then I looked at Linda. "You want a family Christmas? Fine, have one, but you're paying for it." Linda's face went red. "You can't just take back gifts. That's not how this works." I laughed. "Gifts, Linda, gifts are given freely to people you care about. You just told me I'm not really family, so why would I give gifts to strangers?" She stood up. "You're being a spoiled brat. Your father will handle this." I looked at my dad. "Will you, Dad? Will you handle this? Are you going to tell Linda that she just cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars? Or are you going to keep pretending I'm the problem?" He didn't say anything, and I knew I'd lost him years ago. I just hadn't wanted to admit it. I grabbed my coat and walked out. Linda was yelling. My dad was silent, and Brad and Emily were both on their phones, probably checking their bank accounts. I didn't care. I got in my car and drove home, and when I got there, I made more calls. I called the property tax office and confirmed the automatic payments were stopped. I called the mortgage company and removed myself as a co-signer on a refinance I'd quietly helped with. I called every contractor I'd worked with and told them I would no longer be covering any repairs for that address. I even called the grocery delivery service I'd set up and canceled the standing order. They'd been getting $300 in groceries delivered every 2 weeks for a year, and they'd thought my dad was just ordering it himself. Then I sat down and calculated how much I'd spent $214,000 over 3 years on a family that just told me I wasn't really one of them. I didn't cry. I just felt numb. The next day, my dad called. "Sophia, please, we need to talk." Linda didn't mean it. She was just stressed. I said, "Dad, she uninvited me from Christmas and you said nothing." "No, she was out of line, I know, but you can't just pull all your support. We're going to lose the house. The taxes are due. We can't afford." I interrupted. "You told me I was distant, that maybe space would be good. So here's your space, figure it out." He was quiet, then said, "I didn't know you were doing all of that. If I'd known then what I asked, you would have kept me around because I'm useful." She didn't answer the question. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched from a distance through Emily's Instagram stories. The house that had been decorated with lights I paid for now sat dark. The groceries stopped coming. Linda tried to buy a Christmas turkey and her credit card got declined. My dad had to take out a payday loan to cover the property taxes. Brad's fiance broke up with him when she found out the family was broke. Emily had to get a job to pay her spring tuition. She posted a photo of herself in a coffee shop uniform with a caption about learning responsibility. I didn't feel sorry. For them, I felt relieved, like I'd finally set down a weight I'd been carrying for years. Then 3 days before Christmas, Linda called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Sophia, please," she said, her voice cracking. "We made a mistake, a huge mistake. Please come back. We want you here for Christmas." I said, "You told me I wasn't really family." She started crying. "I was wrong. Okay, I was so wrong. You're family. You've always been family. I just didn't see it. Please, we need you." I asked, "Do you need me or do you need my money?" She hesitated too long and I hung up. Christmas Eve, I spent alone in my apartment. I ordered Chinese food, watched old movies, and texted with friends who'd invited me to their family celebrations I'd said no to, all of them wanting to be alone, wanting to process everything. My phone buzzed constantly. My dad, Linda, Brad, Emily, all sending variations of "Please come. We're sorry, we miss you." I didn't respond. Then at 9 p.m., my doorbell rang. I opened it to find my dad standing there alone in the cold, holding a small wrapped box. "Sophia, can I come in?" I stepped aside. He came in, looked around my small apartment, and said, "I didn't know you were doing okay. I thought you were struggling." I said, "I know that's what you wanted to think because it made you feel better about choosing Linda over me." He flinched. "That's not fair. It's true. I said you married her and I became invisible unless you needed something from me. And I kept giving because I loved you, because I thought maybe if I helped enough you'd see me again, but you didn't. You just took and took, and when Linda decided I wasn't convenient anymore, you didn't even fight for me." He sat down heavily. "I'm sorry. Sophia, I'm so sorry. I got lost. I let her control everything, and I didn't see what it was doing to you, to us. You're my daughter, my only child, and I chose a woman who doesn't even love me over you." I sat down across from him. "Does she know you're here?" He shook his head. "She thinks I'm at the store buying eggnog. She doesn't know you're the one who's been keeping us afloat. I told her after you left, and she didn't believe me. She said you were lying, that you couldn't possibly have that kind of money." I showed her the bank records, the payment receipts, everything, and she went quiet for the first time in 8 years. She had nothing to say. I asked, "What's in the box?" He handed it to me. "It's not much." I opened it. Inside was a small ornament, a homemade one, painted sloppily with the words "Sophia and Dad, Christmas 2008. I felt my throat tighten. "You kept this?" He nodded. "I kept all of them. All our ornaments from before Linda. All the traditions she said were childish. I have them in a box in the garage. I look at them sometimes, and I remember when it was just us, when I was a good father. I'm sorry I stopped being that." I wiped my eyes and said, "I can't come back to that house, Dad. I can't be around Linda after what she said." He nodded. "I understand, but I need you to know I'm leaving her." What I said, "I'm leaving her," he repeated. "I've been miserable. For years I thought I needed her because I was lonely after your mom died, but I don't. I need my daughter. I need to fix this, even if it takes the rest of my life. I need to try. Can you give me that chance?" We sat there for a long time, talking, really talking. For the first time in years, he told me how Linda controlled the finances, how he'd wanted to reach out to me so many times, but she'd convinced him I was pulling away, that I resented him. I told him about the trust fund, about building my savings, about helping them because I loved him but feeling invisible. He cried, I cried, and by the time he left at midnight, we'd made a plan. He was going to file for divorce. He was going to move out. He was going to start over, and we were going to rebuild our relationship. Slowly, without Linda, without her kids, without anyone who'd made me feel like I didn't belong. I didn't go to their house for Christmas. I spent Christmas Day with my dad at my apartment. We ordered pizza, made cinnamon rolls from his old recipe, watched our old movies, and it was the best Christmas I'd had in 8 years. Linda called him 17 times. He didn't answer. She texted me, "You ruined everything. You destroyed this family." I replied, "You ruined it when you told me I wasn't really family. I just stopped paying to be treated like garbage." She didn't text back. In January, my dad moved out. Linda tried to keep the house, but without his income and without my silent support, she couldn't afford it. They lost it to foreclosure. She and her kids moved into an apartment, and last I heard, she's working retail, trying to make ends meet. Emily had to transfer to a community college. Brad moved back home. My dad rented a small condo, and we started having dinners once a week, rebuilding what Linda had broken. He apologized constantly, said he'd spend the rest of his life making it up to me, and slowly I started to forgive him because he was trying, really trying, and that mattered. But I never forgot what Linda said. I'm not really family, because those words showed me who she really was, and they showed me that blood doesn't make you family. Love does, respect does, showing up does, and when people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. So tell me if your family uninvited you from Christmas, called you not really family while you were secretly paying for everything they had. Would you keep helping them, or would you do what I did and pull every penny back and watch their perfect holiday crumble? Because I chose myself, and when my dad showed up on Christmas Eve with that ornament, with tears and an apology, I learned that the family worth having is the family that fights to keep you, not the family that only wants you when you're useful. And sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is permission to walk away from people who don't see your worth, even if it means spending Christmas alone, because being alone is better than being invisible. And the moment I stopped paying for their love, I finally became priceless.